In 7th century Arabia, the consumption of fermented date and grape wine was deeply woven into the daily rhythm of life. It was poured at meals, sold in bustling markets, and drank with the frequency of water. To understand how Islam addressed this, we first have to look at how it views the human mind. This graphic illustrates the concept of aql, the intellect. In Islamic theology, aql is considered God's greatest gift to humanity, serving as the sole faculty that allows a person to distinguish right from wrong and be held accountable for their actions. The Arabic word for intoxicant is khamr. Linguistically, khamr translates literally to that which veils or covers. By its very nature, it is a substance that actively attacks and suppresses that glowing central pillar of human reason. Banning something so culturally entrenched is notoriously difficult. Aisha, the wife of the Prophet Muhammad, later observed that if the very first revelation had been a command to stop drinking, the people would have flatly refused. The psychological dependence was simply too deep. Instead, the Quran employed Tadaruj. Tadaruj is the method of gradualism, a deliberate, step-by-step pedagogical approach designed to dismantle an addiction over several years, rather than delivering a sudden legislative shock. A lawgiver seeking permanent obedience cannot simply declare a habit illegal. They must first cure the psychological root of the addiction. The process began in Mecca with Surah An-Nahl, verse 67. It noted that from the fruits of date palms and grapevines, people derive both an intoxicant and a good provision.
وَمِن ثَمَرَاتِ النَّخِيلِ وَالْأَعْنَابِ تَتَّخِذُونَ مِنْهُ سَكَرًا وَرِزْقًا حَسَنًا إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ.
That simple linguistic separation planted a seed of doubt. It prompted the early Muslims to ask a logical question. If a substance actively clouds the intellect, can it truly be categorized alongside wholesome food as a blessing? Years later in Medina, the second stage arrived with Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 219. This verse introduced the concept of if, meaning a severe moral sin or harm.
يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ قُلْ فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا يُنْفِقُونَ قُلِ الْعَفْوَ كَذَلِكَ يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمُ الْآيَاتِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَفَكَّرُونَ.
The verse acknowledged that while the alcohol trade provided some economic and social benefits to the Arabs, the physical and spiritual harm of the substance vastly outweighed any profit. This created a fracture in Medina's society. The most highly pious members of the community immediately emptied their cups, concluding that a great sin had no place in their lives. Others, however, continued to drink, noting that the verse still lacked a categorical legal ban. Observing this tension, Umar ibn Al-Khattab, one of the Prophet's closest companions, made a famous public supplication. He asked God to provide clear, conclusive, and final guidance regarding the matter of wine. By introducing moral weight and intellectual doubt first, these initial two stages successfully broke the societal consensus. The population was now mentally prepared for definitive action. The catalyst for the third stage occurred during a congregational prayer. A companion, heavily intoxicated, led the evening Maghrib prayer and made severe errors in his recitation, inadvertently altering the meaning of a chapter to express disbelief. Surah An-Nisa strictly prohibited approaching daily prayers while intoxicated.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى حتى تعلموا ما تقولون ولا جنبا إلا عابري سبيل حتى تغتسلوا وإن كنتم مرضى أو على سفر أو جاء أحد منكم من الغائط أو لامستم النساء أو لامستم النساء فلم تجدوا ماء فتيمموا صعيدا طيبا فامسحوا بوجوهكم وأيديكم إن الله كان عفوا غفورا.
On this 24-hour timeline, watch the available drinking windows rapidly shrink. With 5 daily prayers, it became mathematically impossible to drink after the noon prayer and be sober for the afternoon prayer, effectively forcing physical sobriety. The final trigger occurred when a violent drunken brawl broke out between 2 allied factions in Medina, the Muhajirun and the Ansar. The physical addiction was waning, but the remaining social consumption was now threatening the safety of the community. The absolute prohibition finally arrived in Surah Al-Ma'idah.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والأزلام رجس من عمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه لعلكم تفلحون إنما يريد الشيطان أن يوقع بينكم العداوة والبغضاء في الخمر والميسر ويصدكم عن ذكر الله وعن الصلاة فهل أنتم منتهون.
The verse categorically labeled Khamr as ritz, a satanic abomination or filth, and issued a strict, uncompromising command for total avoidance. The response from the Prophet's companions was immediate. Upon hearing the verse, they did not finish their drinks or attempt to sell their stock. Instead, they shattered their clay jars and poured all of their remaining reserves directly into the dusty streets of Medina. Sudden legislative bans historically fail and breed black markets. Here, a gradual psychological weaning achieved instant, universal compliance. The Prophet established a permanent jurisprudential maxim: every intoxicant is Khamr, and every Khamr is haram. To close the moderate consumption loophole, a secondary rule states, if a substance causes intoxication in large amounts, a single drop is strictly forbidden. To ensure the industry could never return, the Prophet cursed the entire ecosystem of Khamr. The prohibition applied equally to the person pressing the fruit, the merchant selling it, the buyer, and the server. This 7th century legal framework maps directly onto the modern era. Because Khamr is an umbrella term based on effect rather than ingredients, the prohibition automatically encompasses modern narcotics, synthetic drugs, and marijuana. The core legal trigger for prohibition is not whether a substance is a liquid, a pill, or a plant. The only metric that matters is its capacity to veil the human intellect. The ultimate goal of this strict framework is protection. It ensures that the believer navigates life with a fully awakened, sober mind, capable of maintaining the heavy responsibilities of their intellect.